My name is Sarah Bowen. I am an artist here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, working under the name Tiny Things by Bowen, and I'm really excited that you're here with me today to do some crafting. Today we're going to be doing a creative reuse project, which means that we're going to take something that might have been thrown away or recycled and we're going to turn it into something really cool. So we're going to learn two different things today, one of which is these magazine beads. You can see I'm wearing one of the necklaces here. I'll show you in the close-up camera some of the little examples. They're all a little different colors. Some are long, some are short, but they're really cool. And you can make as many as you want once you learn how. The other thing that we're going to be learning is this magazine paper chain that you could use to make a bracelet or a lot of other things. This project is a little bit more tedious. That means it takes a little bit more patience. It's a form of origami, so it might be a little bit more appropriate for somebody like older kids, preteens, and teens. If this is the project you're interested in and you don't care to learn about these beads, you can go ahead and fast forward. For those of us doing these beads, they're great for any age. We are going to be using liquid glue though, so we will need a little bit of grown-up help when it comes to that. The other materials that we'll be using today are, of course, our magazine. Just save one next time somebody's going to throw it away, or put it in the recycling and you'll have lots of crafts to be able to do with it later. If you don't have a magazine around the house, sometimes we get advertisements for places like the grocery store, and they'll tell you what's on sale, and as long as that paper feels like kind of plasticky magazine paper, then it'll be just perfect for this as well. If you are doing the necklace and you want to have a string to put your beads on after they are dry, go ahead and find that. We'll be using scissors, of course. We'll need a straw. So I'm using a little plastic straw that I got from a restaurant and didn't use. You can also use a reusable straw. Just don't try it with a paper straw because our beads will stick to it on accident, and that would not be very fun. When we do pour out the glue, we're going to want a surface that is good to put it on. So I'm going to be using a little piece of paper. Maybe you want to use a paper plate. Whatever you need to kind of keep the glue from getting too messy. So if you have all of your materials, we'll go ahead and get started. I want you to look through your magazine or your advertisements and look for pages that are really colorful. That's a good one. It's got a lot of warm yellow and red and orange tones. I think I want to look for one that has a little more variety. Ooh, there's more yellows and oranges. This one's got greens on one side as well. I think I'll go with that one. Ooh, look at that one. So many good options in this magazine. So whenever you've found one you've liked, you're going to just tear it out. And if where you tore isn't perfect, that is totally okay. It doesn't need to be. So we're going to start by cutting our paper into tapered strips. That means that a strip starts off wide and gets littler as it goes down. So see how I'm laying my paper? We call this landscape. It's horizontal, it's not tall. We want to keep it this way, and we're going to cut all of our lines like this. So I'll show you the first one here. I'm going to start kind of big, and as I cut, it gets smaller and smaller. And now you can see the difference in the edges. One is nice and thick and one is thin. So go ahead and cut your whole paper this way. Sometimes I like to alternate between, I'll start with a thick one and then the next time I'll start with the little side and just take turns. You're gonna see mine sped up, but you take your time in cutting out all the strips. So now all of my page is cut up into these tapered strips. You notice sometimes they get really, really skinny and sometimes they don't. They're all different. That is totally fine. But go ahead and pick a couple of your favorites to get started. I'm going to go with this one and this one because I love those flowers in the background. I'm going to scooch these aside. Now, if you are working on fabric like I am here, maybe you're on a tablecloth or a little art space, give yourself a surface to get the glue on. So I'm going to use a little piece of paper here that it's okay to get glue on. If you're working on a wooden table, then Elmer's glue comes off really easily, so you don't have to worry so much, but we don't want to get it on fabric. So this is the part where we're going to need our straw and we're going to need some glue. So get a grown-up to help you squeeze out some of this glue. It's a good rule to not take this top off unless you are a grown-up, because you could accidentally make a big old mess. And we're not going to get too much glue. I just put a little blob on my paper here. That's what I'm going to work with. And what we want to do is look at both sides of our strip of paper, because sometimes there's cool stuff on the back side as well. They have purples and blues back there, but I'm going to let this stay here. I'm going to work with this one first, and I think this side is my favorite. I think it's really pretty. So whichever side you want to show on your beads, flip it upside down. Hide the good side. Now we're going to take our straw and cross it over the top of our strip of paper. It's really important that we leave this little amount, about this much or maybe a little bit more than the size of the first knuckle on your finger. We're going to leave that blank. We don't want to get glue on it because that way we can slide our bead off of the straw when it's dry. Otherwise you might glue it to the straw. So I'm going to hold my strip down by holding my straw, and I'm going to choose one finger. This is going to be my glue finger. See if you can pick just one and try to only get glue on that finger. And I'm just going to dip it, get a little bit on my finger there. You don't need a lot. Don't go crazy. And we're going to take that glue and just smear it down our strip of paper. Maybe you need to get a little bit more on there to go all the way down. And we're only putting it on this side of the straw. Remember, up here, we don't want to get glue on that. So now, the next step is we're going to roll this up into a bead. And watch what I do with my glue finger. I'm going to kind of try to keep it out of the way. And you're going to start with that section that we left without glue on it. We're going to start to curl it, and watch how I'm holding onto the magazine with my fingers right here, and I'm turning the whole straw, and look how it's just sucking that paper up into the twist, and we're adding all of our colors are getting stacked up on top of each other, and we've got the start of a little bead there. But here's a really important part, is this little tail. The little skinny end of the tapered paper is gonna need a little bit more glue to stay down. So get a little more glue, put it on the inside there, and then just go ahead and glue around the outside of the bead. I just like to kind of pet the tail, like you're petting a little puppy dog tail, and just kind of rub a little bit of glue around the outside. And there's our very first bead. So at this stage, let it stay on the straw. We're just going to add more around it. And by the end, when it's dry, you can just pop it right off of there. So I'm going to switch over to this close-up camera to show you again how we do it. So we take our paper, we look at both sides. Which side do we want to use? I think I'm going to go with this one again. So remember, good side, face down. So we hide the good side, we line our straw up, and we leave this much space. Remember, that's important. We don't want to get glue up there. And then we dip a little bit of glue, not too much. And I'm going to hold my paper down by holding my straw, and I'm just going to smooth some glue onto my paper. Sometimes it gets off of your strip of paper, and that's why we needed a good safe surface to get glue on behind it. Alrighty, so now this whole strip is gluey. We're going to take this little section right here and start to wrap it around the straw, just like that. And now we're going to roll it. I'm going to keep hold of the magazine with my fingers, and see how my glue finger is still up here out of the way? So So I'm going to keep rolling and rolling. Now a lot of people want to pick it up and roll it up here, but that's when it starts to get a little bit sideways. So see if you can keep it on your table space while you roll, and it does a lot of the work for you. All right, so we got to here. What's the next step? Ooh, we got to take care of this little tail. So let's get a little more bead, or a little more glue, put it on our bead's tail, and then remember, pet it down. So get some of that glue on the outside of the bead. That's what makes it sound a little bit plasticky on the necklace, is this glue is going to make the magazine paper really sturdy when it's dry. I'm going to do one more with you. Let's see, I'm going to choose one that my background is pretty. Yeah, so this was the back side of that page that I cut. And I think I want to keep this as the outside of my bead. So I'm going to put this one face down and lay my straw across it, remembering to put 1 knuckle's worth of paper up there in the safe no glue zone. Now I'm going to hold it down, get a little drip like that, and smoosh it onto the paper. Make sure it doesn't go off of my little glue area there. I'm going to get a nice coating of glue. Notice that it's not a ton. It's not like a big, huge blob. Nope, it's just, I petted just a little bit on there. All right, now we're going to start down here with this clean part of the paper and wrap it around our straw and just keep rolling. If your bead isn't really tight on the straw, that's okay. As long as it's glued in place, it'll be just fine. Ooh, this one's interesting because it has text at the end of it on the little tail there. So remember, when we get this far, we need to go in, add some extra glue, pet the tail around the bead like that. And there we go, we made 3 beads. So we're gonna let them dry. We don't want to try to take them off of the straw while they're still wet. So I'm going to set this down and come right back when it's dry. So while we wait for our beads to dry, I'm going to show you a little tip about getting glue on you. If you got it on your finger or more fingers than this one, a really good way to help get it off without washing your hands and getting it wet again is to wait for it to dry a little bit and then make friction with your fingers. Just wiggle your fingers together. Rubbing them makes friction, it gets a little bit warm, and it causes all your little pieces of glue to just ball up and fall off. So that is a great way to clean some glue off your hands. And if I was doing it, I would do it over a trash can. So now that our beads are dry, the way that we're going to get them off is to hold on to the bead lightly. Don't smush it, right? But we're going to hold on to the bead and we're going to twist the straw. See how one finger is holding the bead and one is twisting? And I'm slowly going to pull that straw out of the bead and it's going to pop right off the end here. So here's our little bead and it looks pretty cool. You can see a lot of layers of color in there. Every color that was on that page got rolled up and you can see it in the lines. So you can just keep making as many beads as you like. You could do a whole necklace. You could just do this much like I did. Maybe you want to do bracelets or keychains, all kinds of stuff that you could do with magazine beads. You can also fill up the whole straw before you let it dry and take them off. Sometimes I like to work where I start down here and I make a whole bunch, and by the time I finish this one is dry and ready to just pop right off of there. So I'm really excited to see what kind of stuff you make with your magazine beads. I hope that you enjoyed learning how to make this project. If you'd like to learn about the chain, stick around. We're going to do that one next. Alrighty, so for the magazine chain links, go ahead and find a couple of pages in your magazine or your junk mail that are really colorful. Maybe they are a variety of colors, or maybe it's all one color because you really like that color. That's fine. But whatever you find, carefully tear it out. You're going to need 2 pages to make 1 bracelet. So you can go ahead and pick out 2. I'm just going to go ahead and work with 1. And when you're ready, you're going to trim the little edge that you tore off because it's not very crisp. So we're just gonna slice it off like that so we have a nice edge to work with. And it doesn't matter which side we fold at this point because to start out, we're just going to make a bunch of folds and then unfold it to see where we want to cut. So to begin, we have our paper laying landscape. Again, that's long ways. And we're going to fold it in half, hot dog style, like so. We've got nice creases on there so we can obviously see it later when we go to cut it. We're going to fold that in half lengthwise, so technically that's a hamburger fold. And notice how I'm making my creases with my fingernails. That helps them be nice and sharp. So here's the trickiest part of this folding method here, is that we need this to be 3 rectangles. So what we're going to have to do is fold the bottom up so that the rectangle created by this bottom fold is about the same size as the rectangle left at the top of the page here. And you can use your finger to kind of compare, like it's 2 knuckles and about 2 knuckles. And if it's not perfect, that's okay. But we're gonna make that crease, and then you can flip it over and accordion fold, so just fold back the other way, that top side there. Get a nice crease. That's what I mean by accordion fold. It kind of bends like that. And from there, open it back up, and you'll see that we have created 12 little rectangles. So from there, just go ahead and cut each of those out. Cut along those lines that you folded. You can also stack 2 sides together like this if you want to cut a little faster. If you end up really liking making these chains, then you might end up making a lot of them because you can do all kinds of stuff other than jewelry with them. And what's really cool, maybe you kind of recognize the shape and size of this little rectangle that we've made, but it's really close to the size of a gum wrapper. You can actually make these bits of jewelry with gum wrappers or starburst wrappers. So maybe start collecting. Especially the starbursts make really pretty rainbow things. All right, so here we have all of our little individually cut out rectangles. And we're just gonna have to learn one technique to make a single link on this chain, and then just do it over and over again, and I'll show you how to connect them. So, whichever side you would like to have like the outside design, you're going to put that face down, just like we did on the beads. We're gonna fold from there. So first, we're gonna take our rectangle in the landscape position and fold it like so. So one hot dog fold. And we're gonna open it right back up. And what we want to do is fold the bottom to the middle and the top to the middle. So watch what I do here. I fold the bottom up to the middle, give it a nice crease with your fingernail, fold the top down to meet it. And if it's not perfect, that's okay, don't worry about it. Maybe you can see a little gap in there, no big deal. And then fold this whole piece back in half on that original crease that we made. So we have one really long, thin rectangle. From here, you're gonna take and find the middle of that by folding it in half. And from here, notice that whatever's on the outside of this fold is gonna be what you see on your link. Anything inside is going to be hidden, so decide which way it goes. All right, from here, just like on the inside, we're gonna open it back up and fold each side into the middle. And when I do this, I like to leave, maybe it doesn't quite touch the middle. It kind of makes our links just a little bit wider and a little bit easier to work with. So maybe there's just a little gap in the middle. And then you fold those back together. And so one link all on its own kind of looks like a little alligator mouth here. So I'm going to take us down to this close-up camera and do it a couple more times. What's cool is the more that you do it, the more you're going to build up muscle memory and you'll hardly have to think about it later. So we've got our first fold. Remember, that's a hot dog fold, a long ways in half. Open it right back up, and we want the bottom and the top to meet in the middle. So I'm going to fold that in there. And maybe my rectangle wasn't perfectly cut and it doesn't quite reach the middle all the way down. That's no big deal. All right, then we fold it back on that center fold so that we have this long rectangle. Take a look which side you like more. I think I like this one, it has more flowers. So I'm gonna put that face down and fold it in half this way. Open it back up, and when you do that, you're gonna take your two sides, meet almost in the middle. You can see here on the close camera a little more what I mean by I don't quite touch the middle. I leave a little bit of space. And I fold again to have our little Pac-Man mouth. There's two. I'm gonna keep going and get a few more before I show you how to hook them all together. But I'll speed it up for you. So you come back to me whenever you are ready. Okay, so now I have 5 little links ready, and I'm going to show you how to connect them all together. Now this is the part you have to be patient about because sometimes it can be a little frustrating. When you look at the links, one side looks like it has a lot of papers stacked in there in the fold, and the other side is pretty clearly 2 pieces for either side of the little alligator mouth. And what you want to do is find the little hole in between and stick your finger in there, or maybe you want to grab a pencil to kind of hollow that out. But make a couple of little bunny ears with your link. You're then going to take the next link and slide each side down into one of the bunny ears and slide it right through. Now that's going to be the easiest one you do all day, that first one to link together, because now you're going to have to fit the next one inside here. So again, find your bunny ears, kind of open them up with your fingers a little bit. Oops, see, sometimes you can open it too hard and you pull your crease open. So you can just tuck it back in. Grab your next alligator mouth and slip it through there. So here's where you got to be patient. Sometimes it gets a little stuck and you got to kind of work to wiggle it through. But once you do, now you have 3 links all together. So check out, find where the little obvious bunny ears are. This one has all of its layers and it's kind of hard to find the right hole. So flip it over, look on this side. Yep, it's a lot easier to see over here. You pull out each little bunny ear, make a little gap for your next link. Tuck it in like so. Be patient. See how it kind of gets stuck up on the other one when I shove it through there? So take a minute, kind of jiggle it. Maybe you need to pinch it and grab it, pull it out. There's your next one. You're just going to keep going. So I'm going to find my little bunny ears, open them up. And this is the part that I had you not quite meet in the middle when it was that last fold, and it's because it makes it a little bit wider this way, so it's a little bit easier to fit each of your links together. So I'm going to tuck them right in here. If you ever try to tuck them in and they won't come out the other side, it might be because you didn't find the right holes for the bunny ears. So you're just going to keep going, keep linking, keep building onto this, and eventually you're going to get a full-sized bracelet. So when you are about to be done with it, here's my little extra link. I'm going to show you how to do the very last one. When you're almost done and you think, oh, this is going to fit my wrist just perfectly like so, you want to make sure that it's going to be big enough that you can kind of wiggle it off of your hand without taking it apart. Like what just happened to mine. I didn't make mine quite big enough. So make sure that you're going to make it long enough to fit. Squeeze it over your hand like so. But once you're sure that it's going to fit, what you want to do is make sure that the last link, so we have one more to add in here, is going to complete your zigzag pattern. You don't want it to end like this because it doesn't match up, right? So we want to have our last one that is going to complete our pattern like so. But here's the thing on the last one. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to find our bunny ears on the first side. Kind of open them up a little bit like that. Tuck the link in just like always, but here's what's going to be different. Here's how we're going to connect it. Pull your folds out like so. So we have these little flappy guys. Wrap your bracelet back around. Find the bunny ears on the other side. So I want to make sure I have those opened up like so. And we're going to tuck each of these into the correct side through the bunny ears. Pull them back out all the way like that so that your links match up and it finishes the zigzag pattern. And here's what we're going to do with these. Instead of turning them back inside the way they were, we're going to turn them over the outside. Press your little fold in and then tuck the tail into the previous link like that. And do that on the inside as well. So crease it over onto the middle and tuck it. It's hard to show you in the camera there, but tuck it into that last link that's connecting. So now we have a little bitty bracelet. This would fit a kid hand, not so much my hand, but make it to fit yours. So whatever you make, I hope that you enjoyed learning this and learning about making the beads. Thank you so much for crafting with me today, and I can't wait to see you next time. Take care.